Hey guys, we are back with the Screen Team. We've got a full hour of movie reviews for you this evening, and we are going to start things off with our good friend Kyle. Kyle is he's a movie connoisseur. He loves sports movies. He loves what else do you love, Kyle?
Comedies.
He loves comedies as well, and our first movie is a comedy, thank goodness. Otherwise, he would probably walk out on this review. And Kyle, we got to be careful with this next comedy because this is how would we put this? It's kind of
Not kid friendly.
not kid friendly. That's a great way to put it, man. We're talking about the movie Friday, which is a movie that came out in the mid 1990s, starring Ice Cube. And something that I never realized until I watched Straight Outta Compton was that he helped write the screenplay to this movie. Isn't that right, Kyle?
Yeah, I didn't know it either until I watched Straight Outta Compton. Actually, apparently, towards the very end of the film, you see he's writing a screenplay for a film called Friday, and lo and behold, that movie would become a pop culture phenomenon. Ironically, years after it came out, it became a pop culture phenomenon.
Well, let's dive right into this movie, man. A lot of people could describe this movie as a stoner comedy. Would you agree with that?
Sort of, because only one of the characters actually partakes in recreational usage, which is Chris Tucker's character named Smokey, who is the best friend of Ice Cube's character Craig. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a stoner comedy. It has moments.
It's got moments of stonerage in there, right?
Definitely. From the opening of the film with the opening monologue, so to speak, from Chris Tucker.
So basically, we've got these two guys. We got Chris Tucker's character, which you just mentioned, Smokey. We got Ice Cube's character, Craig, and these guys are, I would say, probably college age, somewhere around there, and they live in Los Angeles, and they don't have any jobs, right? Is that fair to say?
No. Well, Craig lost his job on his day off. But no, he's unemployed. Obviously, Smokey, he does not work at all. And basically, this entire movie just centers around goings on in a rough neighborhood on one day. And as he says, Friday's just the day before the weekend to most people. But after this one, the neighborhood was never the same. And the cast of characters in this film is just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you're dead on. You're dead on with it, man. The cast of characters supporting crew is pretty amazing, including Ice Cube's dad, played by John Witherspoon, who's just a mumbling. He's a mumbling dad, but he loves his food, and he loves that hopefully someday his kids will leave soon, right?
Yeah, he's trying to get him out of the house and trying to motivate him into being a better man, and so in a very as you said, mumbling type of way. His father's a dog catcher, and he wakes up in the morning, and there he is, his son eating him out of house and home.
That's
and
right.
He gets into him about that, and his dad is just hysterical in the film. And John Witherspoon, for those who don't know, he's been in multiple things throughout the years. Very funny guy. He played on the Wayans Brothers. For those who've ever watched the Adult Swim show, The Boondocks, he's the voice of the grandfather. He's been in a lot of stuff, so guaranteed you've seen him in something.
I love that scene at breakfast where Ice Cube's character, he just wants a bowl of cereal, but he's got no milk, right? So he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to dump this cereal. And his dad, who's just like chowing down on grapes, like, oh, no, you're not dumping that cereal.
You better put some water on that stuff.
And, of course, all throughout the day, we meet more cast of characters, including people like Faison Love, who plays Big Worm, and he's kind of our so-called bad guy in this film because he's a drug dealer, and he needs money, which Smokey has, and Smokey has not yet delivered. And if Smokey doesn't deliver, some bad things are going to happen to him, right?
Oh, definitely. He's got to come up with money for his dealings by 10 o'clock, or they're both going to wind up 6 feet under. And unfortunately, he winds up dragging Craig into this, so he says he's going to take out both of them if they don't deliver, which obviously Craig gets very, very cross with Smokey over it. not just Big Worm, or as he was referred to at one point, Big Perm, because his hair wig, that wig was amazing. We come across, let's see, Debo, we're getting to the big bully of the matter, Tiny Rooster, for those who don't know. He's been in a bunch of stuff, The Fifth Element. He's a great bully. He's one of my favorite bully characters in films. He really is.
Well, he just got that look, man. He's got those weird looking eyes, and it looks like he's going to do some harm on you, you know?
Yeah, definitely, and he's also cross-eyed too. Now, on a side note, in a very famous scene where Chris Tucker utters a famous line after one character gets knocked out, if you notice when they're playing dice, there's another big-built man there who is actually Michael Clark Duncan.
That's right. That's right. He was in that scene, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't recognize it till later, till after I saw The Green Mile and Armageddon. I'm like, wait a minute, you were having a cameo there. But not only is Debo, he's an intimidating character, he's a big bully. This movie is chock full of classic one-liners.
Yeah, I wish we could say them. I really, really do, man. Because
we can say a few, like, I don't know, Bye Felicia. For those who do not know, that is the origin of Bye Felicia.
And what is that? That's something like you millennials say to people, right?
I am not a millennial. Okay, actually, technically, in my age group, I am, but moving forward, actually, the reason that is said is that there's a character in the movie who is the sister of a woman that Ice Cube's character develops a crush on. And she's very dirty. She doesn't take care of herself. She runs around with the wrong types of people. And she comes over wanting to borrow Craig's car, or Smokey's car. And she gets run down and, has some foul thing said about her. And then she looks at Craig like she can borrow something, and he just doesn't even look at her and just goes, "Bye, Felicia." and that, children, is the moral of the story.
You know what really, really blew my mind watching this film? There's a scene where Ice Cube is just, he's just looking at his neighborhood, seeing what's going on, and across the street there's this beautiful, buxom woman, Mrs. Parker, and Mrs. Parker's married. What's that?
Hi, Miss Parker.
That's right. That's right. But what I didn't know is Miss Parker is played by Kathleen Bradley. And if you're familiar with Kathleen, she was one of Barker's beauties from The Price is Right.
No kidding. Now, as a young kid, I don't remember that because I only got to watch The Price is Right when I was sick at home from school or if it was a holiday.
Well, and you're also
I didn't get to watch it all the time.
And you're also a millennial too, so that's probably why you don't recognize her. But you're hurting my feelings. Me being the old man that I am, I was like, "Oh my, she's a Barker's beauty. That's amazing. That's awesome."
That is pretty cool, actually, in hindsight, to know. But I mean, the lady had it going on in the movie. But the scenes with her and her husband and the preacher, as well. On another side note, great cameo by the late great Bernie Mac as the preacher who's getting himself in a little bit of hot water with Miss Parker across the street. And her husband comes home, and which is funny because I can relate to this. Her husband's a midget. Has a little bit of problem with that and proceeds to bust out his windshield of his car with a brick.
Kyle, this is actually the first time I've ever seen this movie in its entirety. I'd always seen scenes and, a lot of the classic lines, but I'd never seen the movie in one full viewing. And I got to say, I really enjoyed it, man. I thought it was a funny movie and had some good messages in there, some, inappropriate stuff too. But I thought all in all, man, it was a decent movie.
Oh, definitely. Like you said, very good messages that you can use for yourself or pass down. Towards the very end of the film, there's a line that I think is so apropos. Everyone should apply their life. You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. That, to me, that was a very, very strong line in a movie that had a lot of silliness. It really brought it back to earth and grounded the characters and everything. So I thought that was really good. It's such an enjoyable film, but once again, I was 8 years old when this came out and got to watch it at 8. Why?
Hey, I'm not going to question your mom. Okay, your mom could beat me up, so I'm just we'll let that one pass. Kyle, thank you so much for being on the show, man. And dude, we appreciate you. And as always, man, keep on rocking. All right.
Hey, in the free world, we'll do it, man.
All right. Coming up, we got more reviews. We'll be doing the film starring Idris Elba and Kate Winslet. It's called The Mountain Between Us. It's next right here on the Screen Team.